Hey, this is C&D channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my predictions for UFC on Fox 6, which happens on January 26th. Overall, this card is really good. I like the prelims, like Grant versus Wyman, Hioki Guida, and then the main card is very good as well. You got a title fight, Rampage versus Teixeira, Pettis versus Cerrone, Koch versus Lamas. So good stuff all around here. Yeah, so let's get started. Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson defends his flyweight title against John the Magician Dodson. This is a really interesting stylistic matchup. Both these guys are really quick and agile guys. They're the type of guys that have strong takedown defense, and even when they do get taken down, they get back to their feet. One thing about Dodson, though, I feel he definitely has more punching power and potential knockout power, especially in his left hand. I think Dodson just has the more proven punching power, and he trains out of Jackson's. And he's coming off a 5-fight win streak. He knocked out is it De Silva or Formiga in his last fight? I forgot. I think it's De Silva in his last fight. But with Demetrious Johnson, he trains at AMC Pancration. He's also really quick and agile. Strong wrestling. I mean, his takedowns are so quick. His stand-up's really good in a technically sound way. And both these guys have really great cardio as well. So it's really hard to say who's gonna win this. I don't know. I'm kind of giving the edge to Johnson here, but it's just such a close fight. I think Johnson can mix up a little more of his stand-up and wrestling, whereas generally what I see from Dodson is mainly stand-up. But otherwise, Dodson, like I said, he does have strong takedown defense, and he's good at scrambling and getting back to his feet when he is taken down. Similarly, Johnson's like that too. But Dodson, like I said, I think probably has, I don't know if he has a better boxing technique, but he definitely has more power in his hands. Whereas Johnson might, from what I've seen, might have the better technique. Even though Dodson's not that bad, and Dodson's really good at going in and out too. So I mean, this fight's really close, and it's really hard to call. But I'm gonna go with Demetrious Johnson to win this one. Okay, next fight after that, Quinton Rampage Jackson fights Glover Teixeira. One thing, if this was like prime Rampage, I would pick him no problem. But my thing is that he's 34 years old. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. His boxing's good, but he's kind of relegating himself to be a counterpuncher these days. His takedown defense is always good. He has 1-punch KO power. He has a really strong chin. He's not that great off his back. But the thing that really makes me not want to pick him is it seems like he has motivation issues. This is his last fight. Supposedly his last fight in the UFC. And it wouldn't surprise me to see him re-sign. And he just hasn't, he hates training. So, there's a lot of motivation issues with him. Because he might re-sign with the UFC. He might not. He go to like Bellator or TNA or something like that. But Glover Teixeira, 19-2 record, 12 wins by KO or TKO, 5 wins by sub. He's 33, and he's on a 17-fight winning streak. He trains at Nobu now, but also I know he trained with like Chuck Liddell to Pitt and other Marcus the Huas Academy as well. He's with Teixeira. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He has strong boxing. One thing I really like, especially on the ground, is his transitions are really good. He transitions to like dominant positions really well. If it weren't for the motivation issues and whatnot, I'd go with Quinton, but I gotta go with Glover Teixeira here. I mean, he seems really hungry. He's well rounded. He's got a lot of good momentum going for him. Gotta go with Glover here. Okay, next fight after that, really hard one to call, as Donald Cowboy Cerrone fights Anthony Showtime Pettis. I mean, in some ways are mirror images of each other. Both these guys had really strong kickboxing and were really good on the ground, either off their back or on top. They had both these guys have really underrated jiu-jitsu. Actually, with Cerrone, 13 of his 19 wins are by submission. And what happened is, as they kept developing, kept fighting, kept getting better, they started to develop better grappling and improving takedown defense, and even improving offensive takedowns as well. I remember Cerrone would use offensive takedowns on Varner when they fought, and I've seen Cerrone take guys down. And Pettis, you've seen him take guys down, like Jeremy Stevens, for example. And they, like I said, they've both shown really improved takedown defense. So, I mean, there's differences. Cerrone trains at Jackson's. Pettis trains at Rufus Sports. Pettis has, both these guys really like these kicks. Pettis has shown a flair for a little more flash, using capoeira style kicks and whatnot. Both of them are actually on 2-fight winning streaks. So, with both of them knocking out their Pettis knocked out Lozon, Cerrone knocked out Melvin Gillard. And which is really funny with Cerrone, actually, is that in his record, out of 19 wins, he has 2 wins by KO or TKO. He TKO Charles Oliveira, and then he knocked out Melvin Gillard. But considering his style, and it's not like he's pillow fisted or something, he actually hits pretty hard. You would think he'd have more knockout wins, but the other thing that happens with him, though, is he'll knock a guy down and then go for like a rear naked choke or something like that. So it's a really interesting stat. I don't think it's telling of anything, to be honest. It's actually really surprising because the guy has shown to be able to knock guys out. Hands wise, I've seen better hands with Cerrone. He uses body punches like he did against Oliveira and whatnot. I think Cerrone still is better with kicks, but his hands are getting better. With Pettis, his strength, in my opinion, are his kicks. I mean, his hands are good, but mainly it's his kicks that really shine. This fight's so hard to call, though. I mean, it could go either way. And I know my buddy Tony does shows with me. He's picking Cerrone. I'm going to go with Pettis here. One thing I do like about Pettis, though, I think that is different from Cerrone. Cerrone is kind of hittable, a little more hittable. He's getting actually better at that, though, defensively. One thing about Pettis, though, is I think he has really good defense in general, especially standing. You generally don't see this guy get hit clean too much. So, I'm going to go with Anthony Pettis here, but, it's such a close fight. Okay, next fight after that, really close fight here. Ricardo Lamas fights Erik Koch. Lamas is coming off that big win over Hachioki. Really cool thing is when Hioki threatened with takedowns, Lamas would threaten with guillotines. Lamas, just a well-rounded guy. He has solid stand-up. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is really good. He submitted Cub Swanson pretty recently, actually, and his wrestling's really strong. But Erik Koch, 13-1 record. He's only 24 years old, and he's on a 4-fight win streak. Trains at Rufus Sports. But one of the problems with Erik Koch, though, is he last fought September of 2011. He's shown strong kickboxing, really good kicks. Good takedown defense, and he does have some pretty strong Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu himself. It's a close fight though, and that layoff really goes against Koch here. But I think Koch definitely. I think he has the better kickboxing technique. I think he'll be hard to take down. Brookins really had a hard time to take down Koch. I'm gonna go with Erik Koch to win this one. Okay, on to the prelims. Really good match over here. It's TJ Grant fights Matt Wyman. Matt Wyman's 2-fight win streak. He submitted Paul Sass. Trains at the Scrap Pack. Really aggressive guy. Good stand up. Good wrestling and good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But TJ Grant is just one of those guys that he's getting some recognition now, especially after coming off of that fight over Evan Dunham. Ever since he moved it to lightweight, he's been on a 3-fight win streak. His 2 wins by KO or TKO, 13 wins by sub. His ground game is really good. His wrestling's good, but his takedown defense has something to be desired. Because Grant does have a tendency to get taken down relatively, I want to say, like, pretty easily. Like, Dunham was taking him down. At welterweight, a lot of guys were able to take him down as well. I think one thing with him is he's really strong off his back. I wonder if he's just really content off his back. But with Grant, he has good scrambles and sweeps when he's taken down. Strong Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And stand-up, you can see it in the Evan Dunham fight, has really been improving. It's a close fight, and both these guys are around that same level. And they're both, showing new wrinkles to their game. So it's really hard for me to call, but, I've been really impressed with TJ Grant as of late. I've always been pretty high on the guy. So, I'm going to go TJ Grant to win this one. I think, Evan Dunham's a really aggressive guy, and Grant managed to be calm and just pretty much won the stand up. It was close against him. Both have good wrestling. Both have good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But I think Grant might be just a little better in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu than Wyman. It's hard to say though. It's totally subjective. Next right after that, Clay Guida fights Hatsuyoki. This one, I'm actually worried because it's a good fight, but the stylistic matchup makes it so it could actually turn out, and it could be a lay-in pretty fast from Guida. It could be a bad kickboxing bout. Here's the thing, because Guida, he mainly likes to wrestle. He likes to take guys down. He has good top control. It's his first cut to 145, which could be a bit concerning. But Hioki is really good on the ground. He's mainly good on top, especially if it's guard passing, but he is good off his back as well. So, and if Guida takes Hioki down, then he's going into Hioki's world. So maybe Guida doesn't want to go for the takedown so much. But with Hioki, Guida's a good wrestler. I don't know if he'll be able to take Guida down, especially since he's moving down from lightweight. He's going to be one of the bigger featherweights, or maybe just he's not going to be a small featherweight. He might be one of the stronger featherweights. And Hioki mainly works from trip takedowns and whatnot. So he might not be able to take Guida down. So it could turn into bad kickboxing. And that's why, or this fight could be a grappling clinic. With a lot of scrambling and whatnot. It's really hard to say how this fight's going to turn out. With Guida right now, he's on a 2-fight losing streak. He trains at Jackson's. He has really good cardio, always pushing forward, relentless about getting takedowns. With Hioki though, Hioki has average, solid stand up, but his strength really is his ground game. His takedowns, they're good, but he mainly works from the clinch and mainly does trip takedowns. But once he's on the ground, you can really see him shine. You know, it's really hard to say though how this fight will go. I can't picture how this fight's gonna go. I'm gonna go with Hioki though. I think he might actually have the better stand up. You know, Clay Guida has all that movement, and it's kind of superfluous movement. He's cutting down to 145 for the first time. It's not the best stylistic matchup for Guida in the sense that if he takes him down, he could potentially just remain in top control. It's definitely not outside of the realm of possibility. You see wrestlers shut down the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game from guys on the bottom. We've seen Guida do that before, actually. So in that sense, Guida, in a sense, could win this because he's most likely going to be the guy that's going to control where the fight goes. So, not super confident in this pick, but I'll go with Hioki because I think he might win the stand-up. I think if the fight hits the ground, and there's a good chance the fight is going to hit the ground, he can use his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills to either get sweeps. If he ends up on top, expect really good guard passing. If scrambles happen, I can see Hioki taking Guida's back, especially in the scramble. So yeah, I'm going to go with Hioki to win this one. Next fight after that, Ryan Bader fights Vladimir Matyushenko. I'd have to just go with Bader here. I mean, they're both kind of the same fighter, Matyushenko, though, he has a tendency to make fights pretty ugly. He's really experienced. He's a veteran. He's a grinder. His stand-up's improving, though. I mean, with Matyushenko, he knocked out, like, Jason Brills, for example. And Matyushenko's good in clinch, has good wrestling, but Bader, really good wrestling, strong power, double legs, good top control, and his stand-up. I mean, the thing you got to worry about Bader's stand-up mainly is his right hand. He has a really strong right hand, one-punch knockout power. He throws a lot of overhand rights. I can see him catching Matyushenko with one of those, to be perfectly honest with you. But they're kind of like the same guy. I got to go with Ryan Bader to win this one. Okay, next fight after that, Simeon Thornton fights David Mitchell. Both these guys, their strength is in the ground. They're both pretty big welterweights. Thornton actually wasn't doing too bad against Brzezinski until he got knocked out, of course, in the stand-up. He's kind of tall and lanky. Mitchell isn't much of a stand-up threat, to be honest with you. Both these guys, the strong parts are the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I gotta go with Simeon Thornton to win this one, though. Next fight after that, Sean Jordan fights Mike Russo. I really like Sean Jordan. He's really athletic. He's training at Jackson's. He's got some heavy hands. Stand-up's good. He's improving his grappling. Didn't do much against... He had a really bad fight against Czech Congo, where he kept trying to take him down but was relatively unsuccessful. The thing with Russo, though, this guy, he has a really good chin. He did get knocked out by Verdum, but Verdum's stand-ups are improving leaps and bounds as of late in his last fight. But the guy's a grinder, man. This guy just keeps coming at you. He has some pretty ugly fights. He has really good wrestling, good top control. I can see him take down Sean Jordan and just grind on him. And I kind of think that's how the fight's going to go. So I got Mike Russo winning that one. Okay, next fight after that, Pascal Kraus fights Mike Stumpf. The only time I saw Mike Stumpf was against TJ Wahlberger and he got submitted. He has some things working against him. For one, he last fought in September 2011. Pascal Kraus, he had his most previous fight was his only loss so far, and that was against John Hathaway. Kraus has a 10-1 record, 2 wins by KO TKO, 7 wins by sub. He's only 25. He has some pretty solid Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he's working on his stand-up with under Duke Rufus at Rufus Sport. So I gotta go with Pascal Kraus to win this one. And the final prelim, which should be on the Facebook portion, which should be on Facebook, is going to be Sean Spencer versus Rafael Natal. There's a lot of stuff working against Sean Spencer here. He's taking the fight on short notice. He is on a 3-fight win streak, but it is his first fight in the UFC, and he's fighting above his natural weight class. He's fighting in middleweight. He usually fights at welterweight. With Rafael Natal, 14-4. Record with 1 draw. Really good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Decent wrestling, actually. Stand-up didn't look too bad. He was actually beating Andrew Craig on the stand-up until he showboated and got himself knocked out. One thing that works against Natal is cardio just isn't very good. But I think he can probably take the fight to the ground and may possibly even submit Sean Spencer. So I'm going to go with Rafael Natal to win this one. So that's it for my UFC on Fox 6 predictions. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.